Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Erin and Olivia with their movie Subtext. Let's take a look at the clip.
Hey, so sorry I'm late.
30 minutes late. You are definitely paying for this drink I've almost finished.
Thanks so much for waiting.
At least you look good in a blazer.
I know. Have you ordered already?
Oh, I hope this is better than watching Severance on my couch.
Let's check out the menu.
Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the NewFilmmakers LA family. And thank you for bringing Subtext to NewFilmmakers LA. We're so happy to have you, so thank you.
We're happy to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Subtext, I want to get into the subtext of Subtext, okay? But before we get into that, for those that haven't seen it, tell us the brief synopsis.
Why don't you go?
Yes. Subtext is about two people on a first date who speak their subtext out loud, but the other character doesn't hear it, only the audience hears it, and there's a few perspective shifts, and then an event that happens that makes them say what they're really thinking. So it's a lot of themes of vulnerability, openness, the kind of things that we hide from each other, and dealing with like sort of our own personal traumas, moving on from those.
It's a brilliant, brilliant idea. Like, I love it when I see something that's so unique and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. And then of course, all the twists and turns that you take us on in this short film. It's like the definition of a great short film. So well done, honestly. I wanted more actually. Now, where did the inspiration come for the idea and how did you two come together?
We were really just looking for an excuse to collaborate. We met in a writer's group, we liked each other's stuff. I was newer to LA at that point, so I was trying to like get lunch with everybody that I knew in the writers group. And Erin had co-written a feature that I really liked. And when we got lunch, she was like, I need to make a new directing sample. Have you written any short films? And I said, no. But I was like, I want to write one because I have a theater background. I'd written a lot of short plays, so this felt like the natural next step from that. So I kind of just like took some time to think of an idea and approached her with it. She liked it, luckily, and we workshopped it with actors a few times because we were trying to make sure that the concept worked. And that was just really beautiful because we were coming out of the pandemic. I had spent a lot of time just writing like scripts on my own and like showing them to people over Zoom or like hoping to like one day get a job. And I was just like, I miss rehearsal. I miss like collaborating with people and making art together. And I just wanted to do something. And it was kind of like best case scenario, this helps our careers. Worst case scenario, we had a great time. So that's kind of how it started. And then from there it was like, okay, like what story are we trying to tell? No,
absolutely. No, thank you. And obviously, Erin, like, listen, how was it for you? Obviously, collaborating with someone that you love to work with as well. How did you kind of get involved, and what was your next steps?
Sure. Well, I mean, the original conceit that Olivia pitched me was this idea of like them speaking in their subtext, and I thought immediately that could be really, really fun. But also, I was like, but what is the story? What are the specifics of these people's situations? And so there is a twist in the film that involves a rather traumatic incident. And I don't know, are we doing spoilers or are we not doing spoilers here?
You can. I mean, you can do if you'd like to. Or you can go around it. We can. Well,
I'm asking Olivia here.
We've done it both ways. I think that usually when we do a Q&A afterwards, I talk about the fact that like when I was writing the script, the shooting in Uvalde had just happened at the school, and it was like I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that this is now just a part of our collective reality, and that it's always kind of under the surface, but we're not like talking about it as much. And like in any given room, there could be someone who's been through a mass shooting at this point, and that kind of affects like how we move through the world, and that we need to acknowledge that like in any case that people have gone through experiences that we don't know about, and like how we hold space for that. So that was, and like Erin was saying, like those, I think that the two characters who are coming from sort of like different traumatic events that they were healing from in their life, we're trying to move forward. And that is the process of workshopping the script was just making sure that those pieces were given attention and that we kept playing with this idea of like, once you think you know what's happening and who these people are and what the film is about, then it's going to do something different.
What I loved as well is obviously this all takes place in this, where is this space, by the way? It's beautiful.
So there is a restaurant called the Sherman in
Okay.
Sherman Oaks.
Yeah.
And upstairs they have like a speakeasy called the Attic. So it's like the attic of the Sherman.
yeah.
And this was shot in the attic.
It was really beautifully shot as well, like really, really.
It's Beth Napoli. She's a genius.
Yeah, no, seriously. And, you know, listen, I think, you know, firstly, the idea of subtext on a date in Los Angeles is kind of daunting, because I think so much of ourselves here is like held back because we're just, you know, people are afraid or insecure or releasing too much, but also just the kind of dynamic of this city in itself and the idea of dating in 2024, right? But, you know, I thought the way that this film articulated, you know, with the context of the story was so beautiful, because we sometimes don't realize what people are gone through, where their traumas lie, and I think you articulated that well. So diving in from the subtext story and then delving into this, how did you choose to direct your actors, and obviously you did a great job?
So this was a film that required a lot of rehearsal, and I think the way you approach rehearsal is unique to each project, right? Some projects it's really about how do we approach like keeping everything alive and this and that. But this project was in particular, you know, we have this event that kind of bifurcates the film, but we also have to, for those of you who haven't seen, you know, something happens in the middle of the film and you need to feel the shift. But at the same time, we needed to feel like one movie. And I think the biggest challenge was really the first half of the film, because the second half of the film, it was just about like long coverage takes where we could allow the performances to feel very real, very vulnerable, very connected. But the truth in the first half of the film is the characters are not feeling connected to each other. So the beauty of having characters that are not feeling connected to each other is that you really have the opportunity to just really pick angles off, and you don't have to worry too much. If you're like, let's say I'm grabbing one line from one angle, sometimes the fear is, oh gosh, is it going to be hard for our actors to stay in that space? But if it felt a little bit robotic and off, that worked for us.
Yeah.
So we really approached, I mean, there were 113 setups in this 10-minute film, which is a stupid thing to do in 2 days, but it was the right thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And when I say 113 setups, I don't mean 113 lighting setups. I mean, you know, there were definitely many lighting setups, but some of those setups, the difference might be, there's a waitress in the film, and she has interactions with each of Hunter's character and Olivia's character, Luna and Cameron. And when we're in Olivia's subtext, when we're in Luna's subtext, and she is feeling insecure, the two shots with her and the waitress, we would put the waitress on a small apple box. But when we were in Hunter's, she would not be on the apple box, and vice versa. So we did lots of small subliminal things that just gave or took away power in the way we framed. So again, 113 setups is not 113 lighting setups, but it might be a camera adjustment or putting someone on an apple box or changing a light slightly. There were a lot of different things with regard to the visual approach to, we borrowed from like horror film in our construction, but B, to just suggest power dynamics. And then the other thing that was a huge part of the prep is like getting the actors armed and ready for this huge challenge. I think like because the film, I like to think the film works, and I think because the film works, people don't really feel how hard the first half was, right? Because when you do something right, it's supposed to feel easy. But it wasn't an easy thing for these actors. So think about it this way. You are, like, acting is reacting, right?
Yeah.
And so you, as an actor, are supposed to be reacting to what the character in the scene gives you, except the way we're shooting it, they're giving you a different line, and their blocking may be motivated by something that's happening internally, the subtext, or it might be happening by something that's happening externally, like yes, I will have a burger, right?
Yeah.
Or like, I need to look at what's happening at the door, which, you know, actually she, you know, Luna's character at one point thinks that Cameron is looking at the door for like something completely different than what he's actually looking for. But my point is, my long-winded point is that it took a lot of rehearsal because we needed these actors to actually react to a line they weren't hearing.
Yeah.
And to do it really seamlessly and brilliantly. And they did. And that was the result of a lot of practice, but also a lot of collaboration so that we could together could kind of solve like, okay, what do we need to do? And we didn't even have to like do weird things in rehearsal where it's like, let's rehearse the actual lines as they are. Like, let's rehearse what they're hearing from each other so that we could just figure out, well, what would that blocking look like?
Yeah.
And then how often would what you're actually thinking change your blocking? And then, so coming to the conclusion about what the blocking should be, just the small things like where to look and when to shift your weight, things like that were really calculated in a way that is beyond any other film I've done.
Well, you really worked hard on all those intricacies, and it really, really worked. Like, certainly as an audience member, I was like reacting to those circumstances that you gave us. And it's really, let's not underestimate, it's hard to subtext of a film. Like, it's not easy at all. And then, of course, the shifts, the power shifts, everything else that happened was really good. And again, really, really good job. As we kind of even said at the festival yesterday, and I remember you said about this, was just that we don't often see the circumstance of a trauma that someone has experienced through this lens at this particular time. And I thought the way you orchestrated that was really important, really unique, and really showcases like PTSD at a level that is kind of like uncontrollable at a point where you don't know when that's going to happen. You did that so wonderfully well, and that really shifted this relationship in a way that we wouldn't have expected at the start of the film. With all that being said, and the context that you've done and all the great work that you put into orchestrating this story, what did you want your audience to experience from your film?
I want the audience to take away this sense that you just never know what someone else is going through. And there's always more to a circumstance or to someone that meets the eye, and to maybe not necessarily give people the benefit of the doubt always, but to just sort of come outside of your own experience and also see how you're behaving in the world may not be. I love this quote that I return to over and over again in art, which is, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. And I think there's a lot of creating art from a certain perspective that helps illuminate someone's personal experience, but then it's also a way to just sort of reach outside yourself and be like, this person has a totally different experience than me, and how can I meet that and honor that, and not look at someone and be like, I know them,
I just thought the character's reaction as well to, it could have gone in many different ways, right? And I just love that, this character just gave that pause moment of like, because we're such in a world where we're ready to kind of like, almost like we see things and we're like, oh my goodness, that's freaky, I'm going to get myself out of this situation, right? But you kind of gave this time to understand. And I think in society, we're so quick now to just kind of like not really hear what the other person's going through and have an impression we really don't know what's going on. And I thought that was refreshing from a humanity standpoint, like your character's reaction was so important, and you chose to go in a way that brought actually the energy close together, which I thought was really refreshing. So well done. Okay, so what is next for you? What are we doing next together? Obviously, you've got a dream team here, so what's happening now?
Well,
We've
we've already made something else.
You have? Yes. See? Amazing.
I, as a writer, I have a theater background, so I sort of pivoted towards film and television in the past few years. I would love to staff on a television show, so I've been like writing a lot of pilots, but then doing this film and working with people in the indie film sphere has really galvanized me, and like to want to just like go off and like make more things with the collaborators that I have met with and really enjoy working with, and in my sort of journey going forward. And like we're on the circuit with this film for probably through the end of this year, and it's not even about like I have a few projects in the works that I am interested in, like scripts I want to write, but it's also like with this project being a great example, it wasn't just like, oh, I've got this great script for a short film and I have to make it. I was like, I want to work with Erin, and like I met all these other people in my months in LA that I just wanted to like bring together. And so it's also like, who can I help out, and what can I hop on board with and pitch in for, or how can I craft my next project to involve this person, and let that be my motivating factor going forward. And it's not just about like me, I have to make this thing.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh, I'm glad that it's happening. That's really good points. And the fact you're doing great films, you've been here a few months now, like well done. Honestly, It's not an easy place to do that.
And to that point, she hopped on to produce she's one of two producers on a film that. Or let me rephrase it. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's technically like a ton of producers, but in terms of like the logistical producers. So Olivia and the producer of my previous film came together to support this venture that we just undertook in December. I co-wrote and directed a 32-page oneer, which is very exciting.
Good job.
And to be honest, like it was kind of like getting the band back together because Hunter is in the film. The waitress from Subtext is actually the person that I co-wrote it with and stars in it. And then Amber, who plays the distractingly beautiful woman at the bar in Subtext, she has a monologue in it as well. So it was an opportunity to work with a lot of people. And actually Daniel Rashid, who had workshopped Subtext with us. So a lot of people that I just either had worked with before or wanted to work with that have been like, you know, we were getting the band back together. And so that is in post right now, and we're really excited about it.
Dream team. Well, listen, I am so grateful you brought Subtext to us. Thank you so much. Honestly, I'll not stop thinking about that film because it's a definition of a really great short film as well. So you'll be very proud of yourselves. And I'm glad that you found the team to work together and continue. So keep making more movies for us, keep bringing them back to us, and thank you for being part of the New Filmmakers LA family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're happy
Erin
to
and
be here.
Olivia,
We
thank you.
appreciate being a part of it.
Thank you. Subtext, everybody. Erin and Olivia, thank you.